Okay, so let's go into the Q&A session. This is, I think, one of the good opportunity for us to ask directly to the Philip. So also maybe another good opportunity for us to answer this question. I mean, directly give them the feedback from the CoderDojo community in Japan. So anyone interested? Anyone would like to answer or ask a question? Oh,
Too easy.
日本語だったら僕が英語にします。
日本語で喋る。
はいはい。
公式サイトのコンテンツもうちょっと日本語があると子供たちが読みやすいっていうか。
Yeah. So just on translation. So about a year ago, a little over a year ago, we changed our approach. So we now use a combination of machine learning technologies to do most of the translation automatically. So most of that is Google, but we built a piece ourselves on top. So the bit that we built can recognize which words should be left in English because they are in Python have to be in English or you know. And so that bit's quite clever, actually. We're quite proud of that. So we translate automatically, and then we have a community of volunteers who check the translation, and then the corrections that they make feed back into the machine learning program so they don't have to make them again. And so what we need is more volunteers who can do the checking. And one of the things that's been most successful in other languages is when we've persuaded corporates, businesses, to give their staff time to help with the translation. And so there's some countries where we've made incredible progress very quickly because we've managed to find corporates to support it. So what we need is if we can match up some volunteers who are fluent in both Japanese and English, with my team who manage the translation process, then we can get more resources in Japanese.
Cool. Okay, so I have a question.
Yep.
So, and I'd like to answer this question. So maybe you already know that in Japan, the next year, 2012, in all of the elementary school, will start teaching the programming.
Yeah.
But in England, I think already all of the schools start teaching.
Yeah.
So we often ask by the schools or teachers, educators, that how we can collaborate with CoderDojo community at the school. So if you have any use cases or collaboration cases between CoderDojo and the schools, we'd like to know about that now.
So the UK, well, England specifically has had computing on the curriculum for 6 years, I think 5 or 6 years. And in my last job, that was one of the things that I worked on, was getting the curriculum changed. The problem, the biggest lesson, is that unless you train teachers, nothing happens. Okay, so the lesson from England is they changed the curriculum, wrote a great curriculum. A very small percentage of teachers have any experience or the right skills or confidence to be able to deliver that curriculum. And, you know, teachers have tough jobs. And so they just choose not to do it. And so that's why we have now gone back and persuaded the government to put so much money into training teachers. And so the number one message, and it's one of the reasons I'm here talking to Sony, the number one message to any government introducing a computing curriculum is training teachers is critical. And in terms of collaboration with CoderDojo, one of the things that we see time and again is that teachers who come along and spend some time at a CoderDojo or any other computing club, volunteering or just visiting, their confidence is built very quickly. Because it's the unknown that is scary, right, for anybody. And so we've heard so many stories. In fact, I was speaking to a teacher in Ireland who set up a CoderDojo after coming on a Raspberry Pi training course. And she said for the first 2 years, she was crowd control. She'd make the drinks and check people in, and she didn't do any programming at all. And after 2 years, she was then leading lots of the exercises with young people on Scratch, and now she's pretty fluent in Python. And so my message is, get teachers to come along to CoderDojos to experience what it's like, to help build their confidence. That's a very powerful thing you could do.
Cool. Super helpful. So I record this. So I can share this video and Q&A session with CoderDojo community so that many dojos in Japan can maybe start it just say hi and come.
Just invite them to come along. And again, everything we're doing for schools in England is available online for free. We know translation is a big barrier, but what we're saying to governments anywhere in the world is it costs a lot less money to translate some materials that are already written than it does to write them again from scratch. And so if there are schools or districts who want very quickly to introduce some computing curriculum, you can point them to Teach Computing, and those resources are available for them to do whatever they want with.
Okay, thank you. It's lesson learned things for the CoderDojo community and school teachers.
Yeah.
Okay, so
great.
Any other question?
Loads now.
I have two questions. So you introduced training online. So could you show me that slide? Yeah. So I know Raspberry Pi Foundation provides some contents and Creative Commons.
Yep.
Yeah. Is that also?
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything. We never publish anything. The only things we publish that aren't Creative Commons are using what's called an OGL, which is even more permissive than Creative Commons.
So I can translate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to translate the online courses, then we should have a conversation, because the platform that we use, which is called FutureLearn, so it came out of the Open University in the UK, you would be able, I'm sure we could persuade them, that you would be able to do the translation in their platform. Because
Can we send you?
Yeah, I'm sure. Because the learning experience of the online platform is very social. And so if you're going to translate, it'd be better to do it inside the platform, and I'm sure we could. Yeah. Good. You had two questions. What was the second? Yeah.
Second question is my personal question. So I designed the CoderDojo standard program.
Yes.
Is it okay for your branding guideline?
Yes. So here's the thing. So the Raspberry Pi. Oh, I forgot actually. I was going to do this. So you get a sticker for a question. So you get a sticker for a good question. You had a good question, didn't you? I remember. Oh, you on. Now you asked two questions. The question is, do you get two stickers? You can have two stickers.
Thank you very much.
So that logo we protect a lot because it's very valuable and because it's on a commercial product. So nobody's allowed to do anything with that logo. We get very sad when people do things with that. Part of CoderDojo's ethos, and it's been there since the start, I think James probably had a hand in this, is that individual dojos design their own logo around it. And we're very happy when that happens. Yeah, it's very different to what we do with this logo, though. I have to make that point. Some people have designed a version of this, and I'm like, oh, not so good. Yeah. Good.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, so thank you.
Oh, they want stickers now. This is the stickers, yeah. Yes.
Thanks for introduction for Raspberry Pi Foundation. I am a software engineer working in Tokyo. I'm from China. When I first saw Raspberry Pi, I was very excited for my one, and it's a very great product. I was able to do some projects such as face recognition. I just now you said Raspberry Pi Foundation do so many products, free online courses, free education, very great. I want to know how you get income support so many projects.
It's a great question. There we can have that. Really good question. Do you want to pass that? We have 3 sources of income. So number 1 is profits from Raspberry Pi computers. So whenever we sell a Raspberry Pi computer, we get a little bit of the money. I'll let you into a secret. You're broadcasting this. So how do you make a $35 computer so cheap? You don't make a lot of money on every one you sell. So the profit margin is very small on a Raspberry Pi. So we get some of that money. The second source of money is when we train teachers. We get paid by governments to do it. And when we, I showed you the space program, so where we have Raspberry Pis on the International Space Station, the European Space Agency pays us some money to do that. So we call it educational services. So where a government usually wants to do something around computing, and we think we can do it, then we will let them pay us to do it. So that's the second one. And the third is gifts and donations. And sponsorship. So that comes from companies and individuals who care about what we're doing. So Google and Microsoft and a long list of organizations who donate large amounts of money, but then lots and lots of people who donate very small amounts of money, which adds up. So there's those 3 sources. So profits from Raspberry Pi, contracts for education services, and donations, grants, and sponsorship. And this year, of what we spend, it's about equal thirds of each. Yeah, thank you.
Good question, right?
Great question. This gentleman here has been waiting. Yeah.
Will it be possible for us to have the Raspberry Pi X, which has the performance of Raspberry Pi 4 in the size of Raspberry Pi Zero?
Oh.
For more affordable price.
He can have a sticker. It's a tough question. So two answers to that question. One is we never talk about future product releases, and secondly the laws of physics. So there are some constraints around performance and size. We are trying all the time to make the most powerful product at the lowest possible cost. And we like the form factor of the Raspberry Pi 4, but we love the form factor of the Zero, which is so small and so thermally efficient. So I can't talk about future product releases, but your question is noted.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you for Philip coming to here, also answering the question. Also, thank you for audience come here to ask him directly our question. Also, thank you the speakers doing the great presentation to share your knowledge and experiences. Thank you for all.